It's pretty rich coming from you is all I'm gonna say. That's me putting it very nicely, given your background, your career, your celebrity involvement, the Princess Diana. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top, okay? Wrong messenger. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top, okay? Wrong messenger. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top, okay? Wrong messenger.
You've created some massive stars, or taken people on and made them much bigger stars, and people have come and go. Ben's still at the top of the pyramid, and we'll come to him. Candace Owens was one of the people that you brought into the Daily Wire family, and then she had a spectacular falling out with everyone, notably over Israel. What's your view of Candace? I mean, my view, for what it's worth, I've had her on Uncensored many times. I know her a little bit away from the camera. She's unbelievably smart. She's a brilliant debater. She's compelling. She's great on camera, all of these things. But I've watched her in the last couple of years drifting to a place where I really, really have reservations about whether she believes half the stuff that she's putting on her show. Whether it's Brigitte Macron being a man or all the Charlie Kirk stuff or whatever it may be. I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash. Candace, it may be that the person in the media spewing Islam to the public is you.
No, nice try. It's not. It's you by saying, why are you asking questions? Don't you worry about Mikey's feelings? Everyone knows what this is. And like I said, because we have the example, the concrete example of after JFK's assassination, the media members quite literally being put on the payroll of the CIA, we have a historical example that we can look at and go, we're not doing that again. Doesn't matter how many times you keep telling the public that I'm spewing Islam, it is only because there has not been anything that has come out of this investigation that makes any sense that the public is not listening to, I am sorry to say this, Piers, people like you. And what I love about you and I sitting down is that this exact same time last year, you were doing the same weird questioning and making all these things when I said that they were committing a Holocaust against the Gazans, and then you changed your mind.
Actually,
Piers,
this time,
I'll see you next year when you change your mind again, and we have more information about what happened, and you realize that the difference between me and you is that I have the courage to take the risks and ask the questions first, okay, before it's popular.
There's a roadblock between us, Piers, because it seems that we are far apart of actually what happened on October 7th. And I know there's a lot of people here came and talk about what happened October 7th. I would like to have a chance to tell you what, from my point of view, what me and my people think. And
Go
you
on,
can
tell me what you think happened.
So there are three big things that made the world accept what is happening now in Palestine. And they talk like, what will happen now? What, how we get it? Three things. The story about the decapitated babies.
That was not true.
Good. So why didn't the Western media refute it? Why didn't they?
Well, it was refuted very quickly.
Really?
Yes.
But
very quickly.
How many times how many times the Western media has used that media? Until today, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is still repeating it. Until now, Benjamin Netanyahu.
It's not true.
I know, but it was.
But it has been discounted by the media.
No, not really.
It has.
Not really. Not really. Not really. And it didn't. And in the discounting and refuting, and I think when you have an apology or a retraction, it has to be.
Yeah, but I was accused of saying it. I never said it.
And you know what is similar? Is when you spread the lies of 40 decapitated babies, although it was refuted. So what happens when people hear that, killing babies is horrible. But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image,
well, who has said
a certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who has said that? Who has said 40?
Who has said that?
Who has said that?
40 decapitated?
Who has said that?
You have repeated?
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated babies?
Never. We can't ignore this extraordinarily sad, horrible story that's come out of Israel. What do you make of this?
Well, it's barbaric. I mean, it's one of the... I can't think of anything that has upset me more other than 9/11. And I don't really want to talk about it too much because I get upset. So if you want me to be crying during your show, go ahead.
No, I tell you, I myself choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them being beheaded. 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them being beheaded.
40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them being beheaded.
But it was.
But it has been discounted by the media.
No, not really.
It has.
Not really. Not really. Not really. And it didn't. And in the discounting and refuting, and I think when you have an apology or a retraction, it has to be.
Yeah, but I was accused of saying it. I never said it.
You said.
No, I didn't say it.
You said. It came to me as a revelation that I read about 40 murder babies. Some of them are decapitated.
Yeah, maybe in that. Yeah.
You said
which
that.
were early reports.
With John Collins.
Yeah.
Right.
Which were early reports.
I understand.
Which turned out not to be true. I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash.
But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country.
I have to applaud that audacity. I have to applaud it. You do. You have to applaud it. These, excuse me here, but like, I'm trying not to swear. These men, okay, this company, these amazing lads over here have the audacity to accuse me of enriching myself when they were out there selling t-shirts, okay, of what Charlie died in to enrich themselves. Were they giving those t-shirts away for free at the Staples Centers? No, they were selling kit of what Charlie died in to the tune of $80 million plus that they made in the first 3 weeks, okay? They made their entire budget for the year in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. And they are attacking me with zero proof that I've made a single dollar off of Charlie's assassination. I did not sell a cup. I did not sell a mug, okay? All I did was do what I already do for a living, okay? I podcast and I investigate things. I investigate things that I feel passionate about. Sometimes it's Kamala's genealogy, when she's saying she wants to be the president and things aren't making sense and I sense that she is lying. Sometimes it's Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds when they tried to destroy a man's life who's not even on my quote unquote political team. Sometimes it's Brigitte and why we are colluding with nations to cover the obvious fact that Brigitte was born a male. And this time it's personal and it's you. Do you want to know what all of these investigations have in common? Liars who lie and think that the public is too stupid to see through their lies. That is how we got into this, okay? I did not sell anything. You did that. You guys did that. You guys continued to do that. You guys wanted to just move on and to grift off of Charlie's legacy. I dedicated myself to figuring out who murdered him.
I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash.
The difference between me and you is that I have the courage to take the risks and ask the questions first, okay, before it's popular. You wait until it becomes popular and then you change your mind.
You may remember that one of your courageous moves was to repeatedly tell the world that Brigitte Macron is a man. As you now know,
and she is.
As you now know, we had a $300,000 bet to charity about this because she's a woman.
Yes.
It's my view.
She's not a woman.
Well, we're going to find out is the point because it's going to court, they're suing you, and when she proves, as she will, that she's a woman, because it's very easy to prove, and you lose that case, then
so easy that she refuses to do it for years.
But then it will become more obvious to people that, look, I think you're a brilliant operator at what you do. That's, I like you personally, you know that, right? None of this is personal for me about you at all. I just have watched him last year from Brigitte Macron and now into the Charlie Kirk story. I think you've developed a modus operandi, which, to put it politely, is you flying what we would call in the world of journalism kites, and just seeing what can cause the most merry hell, therefore get you the biggest audience, therefore make you the most amount of money. And people have, as you know, you've been widely attacked now by a lot of people who say that you're just a ghoul, a vulture. You're doing this deliberately. You're inventing things or just flying ludicrous conspiracy theories to make money. Now, again, Candace, I don't know that you are, but I do know
celebrity.
Can you not interrupt me? By your rule.
I do think it's pretty rich. It's pretty rich coming from you, is all I'm gonna say. That's me putting it very nicely, given your background, your career, your celebrity involvement, Princess Diana. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top, okay? Wrong messenger.
Do you condemn Rupert Murdoch?
I'm not talking about Rupert Murdoch.
Do you condemn Rupert Murdoch?
I'm not talking about Rupert Murdoch.
This has never been shown on British media. This is a letter from Netanyahu's political office. And Bridget may well recognize the handwriting of Benjamin Netanyahu here. It is a list of individuals that Netanyahu considered to be funders of his political campaign. There is a name on this list. The name is Rupert Murdoch, your employer.
You know what, Loki?
It seems he funded Benjamin Netanyahu.
That's
an issue.
You know what, Loki? It's not an issue for me.
It's an issue, and actually it's in the interest of objectivity that you stated.
Rupert Murdoch can speak for himself. You've got a problem with him, take it up with him.
I do.
I can tell you categorically, he has never had a single conversation with me about anything I've put on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Sam kindly resigned from the Times newspaper because of Murdoch's investment and bias towards Israel. If you have a problem, this document, this letter,
you're a rapper,
clearly shows Benjamin Netanyahu noting Rupert Murdoch, considering him to be a funder of his political campaign.
You're a rapper, yeah?
That's an issue.
I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash.
I am sorry that in this day and age, there seems to be such a shortage of testosterone that a woman has to be the person that states the obvious, right? I invite you to join me, and I know that you will by the end of next year, because they're not going to get away with what they did to my friend Charlie Kirk. And I am not going to change my mind, least of all when I am being called names by someone who has quite a year, background and experience in doing things because it's lucrative and not always because it's sensitive.
Sure, listen,
it's always lovely.
You can call me a hypocrite as much as you want. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just simply saying what other people have been saying about you. I didn't say I felt that.
Thank you.
I said
I'll let you know what people are saying about you too. I'll keep you posted on what people are saying about you.
I read it all the time. I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash. I want to start with Kanye West. You know, I've got to say, personally, I know that you've had a good relationship with him. You've talked to him and so on, as I have done. I interviewed him, tried to give him a bit of benefit of the doubt over various things. I got to say, his sort of brazen stuff now on a daily, sometimes minute-by-minute basis on X with the swastikas, the Nazis, and so on. I just find it utterly repellent. Has anything he's been doing in the last 2-3 weeks changed your mind about what's going on here with him?
Okay, so first I just want to say that I definitely told your producers that I didn't want to speak about Ye, but it's totally fine if you want to ask me the question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Well, that wasn't communicated to me, but if you don't mind, I'd just be curious about your view.
Yeah, sure. So my view has been pretty consistent in that when you have a real relationship with someone, you shouldn't be lashing them in the public for anything. There's something about the entire world having commentary about Kanye when he tweets, and that exact same part of the world telling us that we have to remain mum when Bibi Netanyahu literally goes DEFCON 3, but Kanye tweets something about DEFCON 3. That just makes me uncomfortable and feels really disingenuous. And like I said, when you have an actual relationship with someone, if you have anything to say to them, you should say that to that person directly. And so I'm just not going to partake in this sort of like Judas culture of stabbing people in the front when you have a real relationship with them. And I've maintained that consistently, and I'm not going to break that code today. I
mean, some would say, look, I just want to play this clip and get your response to this. I mean, this is him doing, Ku Klux Klan imagery with swastikas, and so it's so brazen, it's so taunting. And you talk about people who are directly attacking people. He's directly attacking Jewish people when he does this and making them feel extremely uncomfortable, extremely threatened by this, because he's got 32 million people following him on X alone. His social media firepower to galvanize hate against the Jewish people is being laid bare, isn't it, in real time?
Just a question for you. When you saw the Klansman hoodie, why did you say taunting against Jewish people but didn't mention anything about black people? Yeah, but it's just interesting that of the two things you chose to lean into Jewish people and not to speak about what the Klansman hood represents.
I do think she's now gone down a path of deliberately promoting conspiracy theories for cash. But I would say that, like I said at the start of this interview, I don't know whether any of the things you're saying are true or not. I just do know you're saying a huge amount of stuff. It's making you very wealthy. You're getting millions and millions of people coming in, which by the way...
What is this idea that it's making me very wealthy? Can you actually explain that slowly
Yes,
for
I'm going to
people?
explain it to you slowly, because I had a huge run-in, for example...
This is just like a talking point.
No, I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. When Sandy Hook happened and Alex Jones began weaponizing the Sandy Hook tragedy and weaponizing the grief of the poor parents who'd lost their children. And I began to attack him in public. And then eventually there was a court case, and it turned out he'd been spewing deliberate lies, and that every time he spewed them, they found he made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the immediate aftermath of spewing the repeated lies that it was all staged and the families were actors and so on, which he knew to be lies. And he made himself extremely rich and ended up with $1 billion defamation finding against him because he'd been deliberately weaponizing people's grief. And the charge...
Yeah, I'm asking you to explain the actual financial metrics. How was he making money?
I'm explaining to you the analogy, which is there are, as you know, right now, a lot of people, from Tim Pool to the New York Post to others, who've come out very stridently in the last week, and say that's exactly what you've been doing with Erica Kirk.
Yeah, but you haven't answered the question. So this is just made up. As I said, this is just all fluff. You're suggesting that I'm making money. Did I sign a new advertiser? Are we reading more ads? Do we put this somewhere else? Do we sign
the more
a book
views
deal
you get on YouTube, the more money you make.
Did I sell a T-shirt? Okay, but like, come on now, Piers. Money on YouTube? Are you kidding me? I was already in a top 10 podcast globally before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And if you think that I would want my friend to be assassinated so I could go from being in the top 5 to being number 1, you're out of your mind.
No,
okay,
I'm telling you,
it's so disrespectful. But like the point is that everyone who is saying that I'm making more money cannot say how I'm making more money because it's just not true. Okay, so you're like, oh, she got a bump in viewership talking about Charlie.
Your YouTube numbers
everyone in the world because it was a public assassination.
And
then it went up in the weeks following, and it went back to normal.
Candace, are your YouTube numbers up since you've been doing the Charlie Kirk investigations?
What I am saying to you is that this is the exact same argument you guys had about Brigitte. So it can't, and then the same exact same argument.
But I think you were lying about Brigitte.
About the Blake Lively thing. Okay, but what about the Blake Lively thing? So you can't keep saying that, oh, she's always in the top 10 because she's talking about something. Or this is my podcast and it's me. It's just me. People enjoy my podcast because I don't treat them like they're idiots. I don't treat them like they should accept that Brigitte Crone just can't present one photo of herself raising her kids across 30 years. It's just too much to ask. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. How dare you? It's such an intrusion of privacy. She'd rather file a transatlantic lawsuit than to just produce photos and put all of this to bed. That's the difference between you and I. So now there's this repeat lie from Kamala Chronicles, which we did, looking into Kamala's background because it was relevant to the election cycle. Then we did the Blake Lively lawsuit, and they said, oh, she's trying to change her brand. That's the only reason her numbers are up. Then we went to Brigitte, which I lost, by the way. I had to get a whole career change when I first covered that story. So joke's on me if I'm doing this to make money, but I was willing to be fired to tell the truth. And then it's all about Brigitte. And now we've arrived at Charlie Kirk. I feel like there's something about that actually is just people not being willing to admit that what people appreciate about me and why they keep coming back is that I'm willing to take risks to tell the truth.
No, I think don't get me wrong.
I was already sold out on ads at the end of the year because our podcast was successful. Yeah, I have not sold a T-shirt, nothing with his name on it. It's just me. That's what he was going through. That's what I am living through, that people are organizing like they are quite literally in a mafia to try to destroy my life. And their goal is to emotionally break you, to make you psych 5150 you, like they did to Britney, right? To get you on drugs, like they do to a lot of people that are in Hollywood. They get them addicted to drugs so that they can control them, to catch you in a compromised situation, to threaten to take your children away. These are their tactics to be able to control virtually everything, right? That's what they want. They don't want to see a company rise that they don't have a leg in, because they want to influence the masses. That's the reality. And that is why I am now understanding they are obsessed with me and Tucker. Why can't you just disagree with us? That is why they are now turning to Megyn Kelly in the same way, with the same viciousness.
I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
what I understand
friendship
Candace
should not, in our business, I think it's important. Listen,
Candace
friendship
and I are
should not
friends.
trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me, is much different. Some are calling me an anti-Semite. Why? What did I say? What did I do? Did I step on a rake and say something super anti-Semitic without realizing it? No, it's because I won't defriend you, and I won't condemn and say that Candace Owens is hateful.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
My name is Joshua. My question is, during a recent stop, you had Ben Shapiro as a guest, and he had made some claims about Candace, saying that she had said certain things online, and when he made those claims, you looked visibly uncomfortable because, you hadn't heard that and couldn't verify that. So my question is, why did you look so uncomfortable in that moment, and have you researched the claims that he made since?
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, he said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question. They want me really, really badly to condemn Candace Owens. And I'm sorry to break it to them, but I am responsible for what I say, not for what anybody else says. I am not Candace Owens's policeman. And by the way, they're kidding themselves that if just one more voice will say something nasty about Candace, she can finally be controlled. Like, how well has that worked so far? But again, the instinct is to stop her speech, stop it, make her stop it, make Tucker stop saying the things. Well, I have no desire to, and I have no power to. And for that, I was called a coward by Ben Shapiro at the Turning Point event, AmFest, in December.
And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly.
Who, by the way, in my last exchange with him, literally said, our friendship, his and mine, is too important to both of us to make it depend on whom else we are friends with and aren't friends with. That is literally the last text I have from Ben Shapiro. The next thing I knew, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point calling me a coward for this very thing. So I am convinced now more than ever that there is a crew for whom everything revolves around Israel.
The Daily Wire parted ways with Candace Owens, and part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic. And she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down, so I was trying to show where these things happen.
So I'm bemused because I've been involved in a lot of contracts in my time. I've been an employer, I've been an employee, and so on. I don't understand why somebody from the Daily Wire can be so explicit about the reasons you left, and yet you are not able to be as explicit to defend yourself or to counter what they're saying.
Amen, Piers. Amen. I think that is probably a question that was on a lot of people's minds. And, you know, what can I say other than what was it that Kanye was saying about contracts? And, you know, I think it is, even if you believe that it is valid for that to happen, I think it is immoral to allow someone to attack someone and to not allow them to defend their name. And so for me, Andrew actually rose to the level of defamation when he started claiming that I had actually said things that I had never said. I mean, he flagrantly lies, and I showed that on my platform when he pretended that I did an episode suggesting that Adolf Hitler burning books was a good thing. I wasn't even speaking about Adolf Hitler. It's a nonsense to think that I would do that on my platform.
But when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad, you know, I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning, or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books.
In my view, he's a pervert. Doesn't mean that his library or his institute should have been burned down. There's no excuse for burning down an institute. There it is, you guys. Does that sound like someone who's supporting the burning of books in any capacity? No. And that's why he never showed the clip, of course. Am I supposed to believe that he didn't have access to the clips and the statements that I made at the Daily Wire? That he's not subjected to the same fact-checking process that I was subjected to every day that I was at the Daily Wire? That he just couldn't find out what it was that I actually said? Of course he could. He just wanted to lie, and he wanted to smear me. And I think that is awful. I think that's really awful. Flagrantly lies, and I showed that on my platform when he pretended that I did an episode suggesting that Adolf Hitler burning books was a good thing. I wasn't even speaking about Adolf Hitler. It's a nonsense to think that I would do that on my platform. And it's a trick also. It's meant to make people feel emotional and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she's supporting Adolf Hitler. And I thought it was nasty business. I thought it was extremely nasty business. And, you know, for me, Piers, it's important for me to state, my name means a lot to me. You know, my grandfather grew up on a sharecropping farm, one of 12 children, you know, in the segregated South, Robert Owen Sr. And for him to have worked the way that he worked and to have instilled the Christian values in me that he instilled in me growing up, the idea that I would allow someone to so flagrantly throw dirt on his name, it was never going to fly.
Did you ever say or do anything which to a Jewish ear could be construed as anti-Semitic?
Well, let's be clear about all of these topics, whether we're talking about racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, everything can be construed to an ear when you're talking about a subjective ear that I believe that this is racist. I mean, I could say, hey, Piers, you even asking me questions, and to me, it feels racist, right? A feeling and a fact are two different things. So what someone construes something is meaningless. Factually speaking, I have never said anything that is anti-Semitic, and had I have said something that was anti-Semitic, Andrew Klavan would have simply showed the clip.
Right, a lot of attention's been focused on you constantly referencing Christ is King.
And there is a substantial coterie of people, anti-Semites, people who hate Jewish people, who are using Christ the King as what the left would call a dog whistle. And they use it to spit at people. There are pictures of Nick Fuentes, who is a raving anti-Semite, shouting Christ the King in this kind of aggressive, pugilistic way to mean essentially Jews are screwed. You know, that's basically what they're saying.
Many people believing that although those words in themselves, if you're a Christian, as you are, would not be offensive, that to Jewish people, when they're being whipped up on social media, as they were at the time, by people who are genuine white supremacists and pretty brazen anti-Semites, that being smart as you are, you would have known that to deliberately use that phrase repeatedly in that time, in that climate, was a deliberate act of provocation to people like Ben Shapiro, who obviously are extremely high-profile Jewish people. Do you accept
I'm
that?
sorry, which time frame are you talking about when you say at that time?
Well, since the start of the Israel-Hamas war.
Yeah, no. So that phrase, if you're talking about when it began to be a scandal, because I think everyone was quite confused when there was suddenly this narrative that it could be construed as anti-Semitic, which is why it required so much explaining by people of when it became anti-Semitic. I posted a standalone Bible verse, this is just a pure fact, calling for peace. And at the end of the verse, I ended it and said, Christ is King, last November. Andrew Klavan references that. The reason why this even became a scandal is because of Andrew Klavan. Andrew Klavan did an episode called Because Christ is Really King, and then he accused me wrongly of spitting that phrase at a Jew. That simply never happened, as I showed in my first episode back. It was just made that up out of thin air. I posted a standalone Bible verse, and I wrote at the end of it, Christ is King, and then a Jew responded to me telling me to quit my job. So what happens sometimes is then time passes and people try to rewrite history, but we're not going to do revisionist history here. I tweeted Christ is King appropriately following a Bible verse when I was 38 weeks pregnant. And I stand by that proverb, and I stand by my declaring Christ to be King, as I have done many times in the past, because it's basic Christian doctrine.
Two things about that. Why would you tweet that particular passage from the Bible, ending Christ is King, on 14th of November 2023? What was your motivation?
Yeah, happy to answer that question. So if people remember what was happening at that time, Ben Shapiro was caught on a tape calling me faux sophisticated and some other stuff, a disgrace, I think was the term. And again, I was 38 weeks pregnant, about to give birth, and my husband just told me, every media person in the world is contacting you globally, asking you to give a comment, to say something. It's obviously a very traumatizing thing to go through in the moment when you're that pregnant and suddenly you're like, I just don't want to deal with this drama. I don't mean like trauma in the very leftist, I feel traumatized by this, but just it's a lot happening leading up to birth. And my husband told me to read the Bible. He said, just read the Bible. You don't have to answer these media members. You don't have to give a comment. You don't have to say anything. These things are all fickle. It doesn't matter.
But just to be clear on the chronology, because the video of Ben saying what he said, we said, I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful, without a doubt. I think her faux sophistication.
That came first.
Yeah, that came out on 15th of November 2023. But you had posted what you posted on the 14th of November.
That's not correct. You have your timeline wrong. It was the video came first.
So you were responding directly to the video?
No, I'm trying to finish the story, but you just have just so you know, chronologically you have it wrong. His insult came first. I think it was on the 12th, the insult came.
Were you made aware of the insult? Because and then did it become public? I found out
on Twitter with everybody else. It was just trending, And so just to go back into it, my husband told me to read the Bible and to realize that these things are fickle and that all of these journalists that were asking me to respond to them are doing it because all they want is clicks and money, and they want they want to use you for a moment that's not going to matter in the scheme of things in your life. And so I wanted to respond to all of these media members by saying that I'm calling for peace. Christ is King of my heart. I don't need this right now. So that was it.
Immediately after, Candace Owens went to Twitter and said, I'd like to have a debate with Ben Shapiro about Israel. The Daily Wire ran into an arbitration proceeding and requested that an arbitrator put a gag order on Candace Owens and order her banned from criticizing the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro in any way. And none of this was disclosed by the Daily Wire. They had led their audience to believe that they actually wanted a debate with Candace Owens. And yet at the same time, in secret, they were arguing to the arbitrator that the way in which Candace Owens asked for this debate, the expressions of criticism she had voiced about Ben Shapiro, the fact that she had liked multiple tweets that were criticizing Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire meant that Candace Owens, by negotiating and asking for this debate, had in fact engaged in disparagement of the Daily Wire in a way that violated her contract, and they therefore convinced an arbitrator in secret that they were likely to win if they sued Candace Owens for breach of contract, and the only remedy possible would be to gag Candace Owens from talking about the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro in any way critically.
What do you think about that?
Okay, I like it. I'll tell you what, I like the move. This is a very smart move by the Daily Wire. You got to remember, it's not Ben Shapiro anymore. He made his decision. Organizations protect themselves. And when they have a contract with you, they will immediately do this. Now, Glenn, the truth is enough. Glenn doesn't have to say they went in secret. Arbitration is what it is. You know what I mean? It's in your contract. So it's not like they're sneaking around. But, so, he doesn't need that drama to it. But the reality is, you're saying one thing to me, but now you got your boys exercising a right on my contract. And you have to look at the reason why, okay? The Daily Wire doesn't believe that Shapiro wins the debate with Candace Owens.
You think they believe that?
100%. Otherwise, there's no reason to do it.
That's what I am living through, that people are organizing like they are quite literally in a mafia to try to destroy my life.
What is your assessment?
Well, the problem with trying to wield cynicism for clicks is that cynicism ultimately wields you. And I think that's true of a lot of the sort of mistakes that we make in life. We always think that we're too clever for the sort of, the sort of evil that exists in the world to ever touch us. I've asked Candace on 2 separate occasions what she actually believes. On both occasions, she said, I believe what the people believe. I am the voice of the people. And of course, both times, I don't know what that means, Candace. I've come to understand, though, at least from my point of view, I think she's articulating the idea of audience capture and expressing it as a positive value. Does she actually believe the things that she's saying? I don't know. I do know that if you say things long enough, you come to believe them. The most convincing voice in the world is our own voice. To your point, though, Candace is a genuine superstar. I mean, she has it, the thing that we talk about in show business. She has it in spades. I've never met anybody with any more of it. The camera absolutely loves her. To your point, she's whip smart. When she's using those powers in service of the true and the good and the virtuous, I think there's nobody better. But like you, I'm very concerned about the direction that she's taking it right now.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons. For real, and these were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10.